The Yankees just swept the Giants 7-0, 3-0, and 3-1. That's dominant. That's clean. And that's exactly how you want to start a season. And if you're a Yankees fan right now, feels like this team might be different. But here's the question. Did this series prove something? Or did it just give us results without answers? Let's start with what actually happened. The Yankees swept the series. Pitching allowed 1 run in 3 games. The offense scored 13 runs, which not explosive, but controlled. And overall, they played clean baseball. This wasn't chaotic. This was controlled baseball. And that matters, but it doesn't tell the whole story. So, what held in this series? The pitching dominance. You give up 1 run in 3 games, everything works. The starting pitching was phenomenal. Max Fried got into a little bit of trouble early, ultimately got himself out of it, didn't give up any runs. Cam Schlittler came in game 2, and he was absolutely dominant. Looks like he could be the best pitcher on our staff, which is saying a lot considering we have Fried and Cole coming back. And then Will Warren looked pretty good in his outing as well, only giving up 1 run. The bullpen was the question mark coming into this. And honestly, they looked very good. Bednar was exactly what we hoped he would be. Shutdown closer. Camilo Doval was the one you're not sure if you're getting the guy from a couple years ago, the guy from last year who got traded to us. His stuff looked filthy. He was so good in his 2 games, in his 2 innings of work. The other thing is there was no unnecessary stress on the team. The pitchers weren't giving up hits left and right. There was no hard hit balls looking like they given up home runs. Nothing like that. The pitching was phenomenal in this series. As far as the defense goes, I thought there were a few iffy plays in game 1, but ultimately they looked really good in games 2 and 3, and for the most part pretty good in game 1. So, aside from the one error in game 1, they really didn't give up any extra outs, no chaos. Most of the routine plays were made, and they weren't extending innings unnecessarily. And then as far as game control, every single one of these games felt like the Yankees were in control. And that's important. You don't want to have to be playing from behind, clawing your way back in. So the dominant pitching, the defensive cleanliness, and the game control were all things that held up to the standard in this series. And then there's something that we didn't really learn. What does this offense look like when it is under pressure? In this series, we had no high leverage offensive stress. In fact, our offense didn't score any runs in innings 7, 8, or 9 in any of the 3 games, but they didn't have to. So, there was no late game adversity, and there was no need to manufacture runs under pressure because we had leads late in every single game. So, we were comfortable the entire series. Now, the defining moment of this series wasn't a big hit. It was how the Yankees took control early. And what I mean by that is because of how solid the pitching was, we scored a few runs between the third and sixth innings of all three of these games, and the dominant pitching held, and we basically just controlled the games from early on through the end. The early leads, the pitching holding the leads, and not having to come back, this series never forced the Yankees into any sort of discomfort. So that's one thing that we still haven't seen yet. As far as players individually, there's a few players that I think we need to highlight. The first one is a positive. Giancarlo Stanton batted .500. 6 hits in 12 at-bats, including a home run in Game 2. This is exactly what you want from him early. You know, his durability is a question. You don't know how many games he's actually going to play in. So it's really important that the games he is in, he has some sort of impact. And he absolutely did that in this series. The second player I want to take a look at is the pitching anchor. So, obviously we know the starters were all great. Cam Schlittler, absolutely dominant. Love to see it. But one player that I think we really need to look at is Camilo Doval. Doval, like I said, you didn't know which guy you were going to get, and he came in and he shut the Giants down. 2 different games, 2 innings, 3 strikeouts, 0 hits given up. And his stuff looked filthy. So that's going to give me a little bit more confidence in this bullpen that we were unsure of. I mean, we're still going to have to see how these guys look, the middle relievers, how we use this staff when we don't have a lead or it's tied late. But as of right now, seeing Camilo Doval look that good early on is a great sign, and it should lead to some confidence in this bullpen. The third player I want to mention is somebody that we're going to have to keep an eye on. It's Austin Wells. He had a couple of hits in Game 1. He ended up going 0 for 7 in Games 2 and 3. But defensively, he played great. He had a couple of challenges that overturned calls in our favor. And he called 3 great games as a catcher. So, I'm not saying that this is a negative. It's just incomplete. Because we are going to need him to contribute offensively. And the offense kind of disappeared in Games 2 and 3. So, definitely something we want to keep an eye on moving forward. And hopefully he continues playing great defensively, calling great games, and having successful challenges. And then the fourth player that I want to take a look at is the under-the-radar guy. And that is Jose Caballero. He got the first hit to bring in RBIs in Game 1, got the scoring going. He had an infield hit in Game 2. He had a stolen base. That speed matters so much. It matters so much more than it looks. Because it doesn't always show up in the scorecard. Like, him beating out that infield hit was huge. You keep the inning alive. You give your team a chance to score more runs. And for a guy who might end up just being the guy that comes off the bench to pinch run or pinch hit, he has this opportunity right now while Volpe's still injured to actually take hold of the shortstop position. So his performance early on in this season is going to matter tremendously for what the rest of his season is going to look like and the impact that he has on this team. But so far, from the speed and coming through with the clutch hit when you need it, I'm liking what I'm seeing from him. So now, as far as the offense, we still don't know yet if this lineup can function without Comfort, but I'm sure we will likely see this in the next series, considering we will be playing a playoff team from last year in the Seattle Mariners. So we could be seeing that. As far as the bullpen, so far, it's stable. It's looking good, but it hasn't really been under stress. Again, there haven't been really high leverage situations late in the game. And then as far as a team response, we haven't seen the adversity yet. So we can't tell how this team is going to respond to the negativity, how it's going to respond to a big error that costs you a run. Is the offense going to be able to come in and make up for that, especially late in the games? So this series showed us what the Yankees look like when things go right, but it didn't show us what happens when things go wrong. And after this series, here's what we actually know. Our pitching can control games, which is great. Our defense is mostly stable, which is great. And this team can win clean baseball. So as long as we keep it clean, our pitching performs, our defense performs, we know that we can win those games and should win those games. And then what we don't know is how resilient is this offense? What are the late innings going to look like when we are tied or trailing? And what does our depth look like under stress? Which again, high leverage situations late in the game. Haven't seen it yet. I'm sure we will see it at some point in the next couple of series. So going into the next series, here's what actually matters. Are they going to get into a close game late? Can we score without getting out to early leads? Again, not scoring in the 7th, 8th, or 9th innings off of the best relievers from the Giants, it's not good, but we didn't need it to be good. So hopefully our big hitters and the bottom of the lineup can come through late in the games. And then, of course, does the bullpen handle real leverage? In the tie games, is Duvall going to be able to shut down the lineup and strike guys out in the 8th inning of a tie game? Hopefully the answer is yes. Based on the stuff that he was throwing out there, he should be able to. But then, it's the middle relief as well that we haven't really gotten to see, the guys who will come in tie games or when we're trailing by a run. And that's when the evaluation will start to get real. So this first series, it was a strong start, a clean start, and a controlled start. But it was also a comfortable start. And until this team is forced into some sort of discomfort, we don't know what it really is yet. To be determined. This is The Standard with Brian Leavy.